It is painfully obvious. Both the world and this country are in desperate need of presidential leadership, and we're about to find out whether Donald Trump is up to the moment. And I'm saying it that way because we almost have no choice, because I know many of you don't believe he's up to the moment. I know many of you believe he's caused all these moments. I'm a huge skeptic myself, but here's the reality. We don't get to pick a different president just because the moment feels bigger than the man in office. At least we don't get to pick one yet. You only get one president at a time. And when you consider the two biggest stories dominating the globe right now, growing unrest in the United States and a spiraling hot war in the Middle East, both require someone who can lower the temperature. And right now, there's only one person who can do this if he so chooses, and it is Donald John Trump. Ironically, he may be more inclined to try to turn the temperature down overseas before he ever considers doing it here at home, and I'll get to that. Sunday night on my new program for Newsphere, the app, Sunday Nights with Chuck Todd. Please take a look. Get the free trial right now. You can catch up with the Bannon interview in this. My latest interview was with Trita Parsi. He's written 3 books on Israel and Iran. He's easily one of the most sober, clinically minded journalists and observers of that region and conflict you can find, deeply sourced in Jerusalem and Tehran. And he made one thing clear in our conversation. There's only one person who can bring this war to an end right now, and it's Donald Trump. Because if the American president can't pull the right levers, no one else can in that region. No one else can get both either Iran or Israel to pull back from the brink here. And yet, you do have a situation where Trump's political base is not exactly looking for more foreign entanglements. You could argue that Trump rose to power, taking over the Republican Party by attacking the neoconservative foreign policy of sort of the Bush-Romney wing, or frankly, the Eisenhower-Romney foreign policy consensus that has dominated Republican politics for a couple of generations. He branded Bush-era interventionism as a failure, and he turned much of the GOP against it. His America First instincts are now baked into his coalition, particularly when it comes to Ukraine, for instance. And we're going to find out about Iran. It is a different ballgame, but it may be similar feelings about it. Some of Trump's biggest donors and even some of his business partners in the region are actually strongly supportive of Israel's campaign to weaken Iran, but not the active rank and file base, the ones that buy into America First and a bit of the isolationism. And it's been interesting to watch Trump over the last 72 hours. He claimed that since he is the only one, it's interesting here, and this whole idea, is he violating his America First policies? Well, he was asked this earlier on Sunday, and he said he was the only one. He says, well, considering that I'm the one that developed America First, and he put that in quotes, and considering that the term wasn't used until I came along, I think I'm the one that decides that, meaning what falls under the America First umbrella. Now, Donald Trump, obviously no student of history, isn't aware or chooses not to be aware that America First was a big movement inside the Republican Party in the 1920s and 30s. So he is simply borrowing something that existed before, rebranding it as his, and claiming no one's ever invented a political movement like this. So the bottom line is, though, is that what it does tell you is that he's going to try to, whatever he ends up doing, he's going to try to sell his base that this is a good thing and that this falls under America First. So that may explain why you've seen a bit of whiplash with Trump, why you saw him quickly praise what appeared to be an early Israeli success, right? The decapitation strike on the military leadership of Iran felt like we were seeing a rerun of what happened with Hezbollah. But the strike, while lethal, wasn't necessarily decapitating, right? The nuclear program remains intact. And now the war threatens to escalate, and there doesn't appear to be a clear exit strategy, because you now have domestic influences on both Iran's leaders and Israel's leaders that are going to essentially, I think, prevent a quick walk back, not without the intervention of the United States. Now, here's the hard truth. Israel cannot finish this mission by themselves. They lack those bunker busting bombs that are capable of destroying Iran's underground nuclear sites. They have to get U.S. firepower to do that. And without it, this conflict, I don't know how it ends. And I'll tell you, If the U.S. gets in, how do they get out? How do we get out? We've been down this road before. Now, there's a growing sense that no one really knows what's going on. Did the United States give Israel a green light or not? Did we think the threat of Israeli action would bring Iran to the negotiating table? Were we leading Iran on while giving Israel space to strike? Are we active players in this, or were we passive bystanders? Whatever we were may not matter. It's what is perceived and believed in the region that may matter more here. There's no doubt that for now, this ambiguity is intentional by the United States. Our government is trying to have it both ways, cheerleading success if Israel prevails, denying involvement if things go sideways. In fact, that's sort of a Trump staple on most things in life that he's tried to deal with. And that's part of the trust deficit, though, we're all experiencing. The Middle East has long been a place where truth is murky and perception is weaponized. But now that sense of confusion is creeping into our domestic life. And I want to get to that as well. And here's the thing, Donald Trump's at the center of both. In the Middle East, he could very well be the person to broker peace, strange as that may sound, but here at home, it's increasingly clear he's been a driver of instability, not a buffer against it. Take immigration. His latest round of aggressive deportation tactics sparked protests nationwide, particularly, though, in Los Angeles. But behind the scenes, now he's pulling back, pressured by agricultural and hospitality interests, warning of dire economic consequences for their industries. Translations: we don't get our food supply without migrants, and you don't get your bed made at hotels without migrants, apparently. That includes some of his own backers, hotel owners, something he's familiar with, and the farm corporations, people who rely on that undocumented labor to keep their businesses afloat. Here's the economic reality. Farmers are reporting shortages in harvest crews. Crops are at risk of rotting in fields. Meat processors are already warning of bottlenecks. And as we head into the summer travel season, resorts and hotels and tourist towns are facing major staffing shortfalls. Guests are already noticing longer waits, fewer amenities, and rising costs, all due to essentially a choice in how Donald Trump's gone about deportation. And that's just the political fight. It's also a supply chain crisis in the making, and the president knows it. So his quiet backpedaling, while avoiding public acknowledgement, sort of, is a contradiction between his populist rhetoric and his business-first impulses. He needs the tough talk to energize his base, but he can't afford the economic fallout that comes with actually falling through. In this case, the business world is cheering for Taco Trump. They want Trump to taco, i.e., you know the acronym, Trump always chickens out. They're desperate for him to chicken out on this immigration stuff. And look, and considering what we went through last week and what happened between Homeland Security and that security detail and the U.S. Senator Alex Padilla, none of this, what was a net positive for him, the immigration and being aggressive with these tactics, is going to start to turn south on him.